There we go. Now we are
Wait,
apparently live.
well, good news.
Yeah! Okay, so YouTube has just completely shit up my nose with this whole new streaming thing. We had such a good system going. Okay. Well, here we are. Let's talk about the Coronageddon.
Yeah, because what else is there to talk about, really?
Apparently that's the only thing in the news right now. Um everybody everybody seems to be forgetting that we have an election going on. Everybody seems to be forgetting that well, the economy was doing freaking spectacular. Uh, I see Rod has joined us and has just asked, "Who are you?" Well, Rod, if you've missed the last several shows, which is likely since you're not always up early enough or not always watching early enough to catch us live, the last I don't know 2 weeks something, Cameron. We've been live most mornings, but there's been a problem with the new YouTube streaming format where we were not getting automatically uploaded once we finished the show. So you may have missed the story. I had surgery on my ear, and the yeah, I'm gonna get to the economy is good thing in just a second, Rod. Just slow down, damn it! I'm telling you a story. Relax. Anyway,
I want to done tell you a story there.
I had my beard surgically removed at the VA. They had to put me under for general anesthetics because they peeled my ear off the right side of my head and went in to put a tire patch on my old eardrum. So I actually have a follow up on that tomorrow. Hopefully, we're going to pull some more packing crap out, and I'll be able to hear even better with my hearing aids in. Anywho, so the economy is doing good. Yes, Rod, you're correct. Um, the media is reporting as if it's the next Black Tuesday, but the fact of the matter is, the losses we have experienced are a smaller percent. The percent of the market that has been lost this week, while surprising, is a number larger than the entire stock market on Black Tuesday. So a little perspective is important. It may be that we lost a good bit this week, um, but the fact of the matter is the economy was doing so well before the coronavirus stuck its nose in our business that it's hard to lose so substantially. To lose all the gains that have been made since the inauguration of Donald Trump is almost unthinkable. Almost. It's not impossible. It's improbable. Um, and once there's some more information, once we have a better handle on what the expectation is, I'm certain that within unless this thing goes no shit, Mad Max, Jeremiah, post apocalyptia. If I don't have to actually leave my house with a rifle to get food, then we're gonna see a V-shaped recovery within a month to a month and a half.
Hopefully. I'm trying not to be pessimistic about it, but when you've got literal,
Clockwork Elves.
I know, right? And um, of all people, I've actually been following Clark Howard quite a bit because he's tried to give kind of very straight down the middle analysis. And one of the things that he predicts is that there's going to be somewhere around 20 million jobs that are at risk as a result of shutting basically damn near everything social down. I mean, hotel employees, concert venue employees, restaurant workers, bartenders, all of that. It's not just that they might not have a job to go back to. There might not be a business left for them to go back to in which to try and get that job. Because if you run a bar, for example, um, you gotta, it's an industry that's high turnover. You gotta have fresh shipments almost every day. You gotta make sales every day. Like without cash flow, you don't have a business. Um, it's a little different than what's going on with Apple, because what's going on with Apple is eventually they will release the next round of iPhones. They will make millions and millions of dollars selling the next round of iPhones. Um, but going and hanging out with your buddies and drinking Bud Light because you're a young 20 something and that's what you do, well, all that all that might be gone. One of the things that is the most shocking to me is if you rewind the clock just a few weeks, Delta was handing out bonuses to basically all of their employees because they were just making that much money. And now Delta is losing money. Like the turnaround for them was that quick. And you are correct. When we rebound, it'll be a hockey stick graph that'll make Al Gore cry. But we have to get from here to there. There's they call it the donut hole because there's nothing in the middle of the donut, and that's what we have to get past. So there is something in this for me that does not pass the smell test.
Agreed.
And I'm not saying, and let me be really clear, I'm not saying that we don't exercise caution. I'm not even saying that the current response is not the appropriate response. The problem is we're in the middle of the forest. We can only see the trees around us, and we've lost perspective on how big the forest is. And we won't know what we just went through for at least another month or two. We won't. There's no way to know.
Here's a piece of perspective to chew on with that. You talk about being in the forest, and you can only see the trees. And we're talking about economic troubles and disease. What about the Jews? Specifically, the Jews that were lost in the desert for 40 years. How do you get lost in the desert for 40 years?
You don't listen to the guy giving you directions if you read the scripture.
Well, and here's an interesting little piece on that. The desert we're talking about is 10 miles across. You can walk that in a day.
You wouldn't want to, but you could.
In fact, 100 pounds ago, I could run that in an hour and a half.
100 pounds ago.
Yeah, I'm old, fat, and broken. I'm retired. I don't run and kill anymore. I kind of sit still and worry about and complain about my knees now. Because precisely because I used to could run 10 miles in an hour and a half, and I don't do that shit no more. 10 miles across that desert. Got lost for 40 years. Well, it's hard to see for 10 miles. It's hard to see for 5 miles. You get right in the middle of 10 miles worth of desert, and which direction it is to the other side, if you don't just know it, if you don't know which direction the other side is, you can't orientate off the sun, you don't have your bearings. That's the problem right now. We lack information. As far as the whole coronavirus situation goes, in a very metaphorical sense, we don't know which way is north. We don't know if it's morning or evening, if the sun is rising or setting. We can't get our compass bearings, and there's no clear demarcation to see which direction, what the actual direction is to get outside of the invisible barrier that is the expanding desert around us.
And it's not that the desert's expanding, it's that we keep changing direction.
Right.
And never quite get out. So I mean, part of the problem, obviously, is that this came from China, and China did nothing but lie because, they're commie bastards.
Yeah, and the further left you go, the more takia is part of your religion. Um, the more the left is like Islam in that way. It's not just okay. It's encouraged. It's a moral good to deceive the infidel.
And that's you, buddy, just so that we're clear. And when I say you, I mean the broad you, not just you, Chris.
I'm
Obviously, you're an infidel,
Oh yeah,
at
I'm
least
a great
according to
big
them.
fat pig eating infidel. Please believe. Uh, I mean, I'm not quite as bad as your wife. If I run out of bacon grease, I can fry an egg in some olive oil. But
Hey, man, jars of bacon grease in the fridge, they do the trick.
I okay, I'm sorry. But small tangent. I shit you not, guys. Cameron's wife called my wife one morning and said, "I'm out of bacon grease. What do I do about for cooking some eggs for the kids?" And and my wife's, I don't know, put butter, olive oil. I mean, there are options. she, she, to be clear, Cameron's wife is not a stupid, and I've referred to them respectively as my wife and Cameron's wife. I haven't named either of them on purpose. Um, but Cameron's wife is not a stupid woman. she just she grew up frying eggs in bacon grease just like I did. But
My mother-in-law cooks everything in bacon grease. Everything. Literally everything. You want to saute some onions? Bacon grease.
hell yeah.
Like, it is what it is.
Anyway, by the way, we're coming to you live from the glorious state of Georgia. Uh, so there's a little context in that bacon grease.
Right. Right. So here's kind of what I'm worried about, though. And this is the analogy that I've thought of. You're actually frying bacon in your kitchen, and you make a mistake, and you cause a fire to happen in your kitchen, and you don't panic. You walk over and you get your fire extinguisher, you put the fire out. And obviously, the meal is ruined. Maybe most of the things in your kitchen are ruined, but you still have a kitchen. And by extension, you still have a house. Well, then option B, you set that same fire off in your kitchen. You panic, you grab the kids, you run outside, you call 911, you get the fire department to come out, and God bless them, you have this amazing response time. The fire department is on scene and putting water in the fire within 5 minutes. So instead of the fire burning for 30 seconds, the fire has now burned for 5 minutes. And, well, going back to my insurance lingo, that is the difference between something you don't even call your insurance company about to something that your insurance company refers to as a total loss, because everything in your house could become damaged or destroyed in that period of time. And I'm kind of worried that's what we might be doing. Now, it's entirely possible that because China lied about it for so long, and if you were like me or Chris or other people that were like, hey guys, there's this weird virus thing. No, I swear, you might want to pay attention to this weird virus thing. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're panicking. Just no. It's not a conspiracy. The virus is real, and I'm not panicking, but it's weird. There's this virus thing, and it seems to specifically kill old people. Just something you might want to pay attention to. And then all of a sudden it comes here. Oh, and we've panicked and we've called 911 and the fire department is on the way. I have no doubt that the fire will actually get put out. But is there going to be a house left? Is crashing the entire world's economy really how we solve problems? I almost wonder if we're not doing more harm to more people um, doing what we're doing than the virus itself could have ever done, even if it was left relatively unchecked and we shut none of these things down. It's important to understand that markets are interesting things, that capitalism in and of itself, the ability to freely practice commerce, has an inherently altruistic factor to it. And it's not that in and of itself it's altruism. It's this concept known as mutually assured self-interest, which means I want for you to have enough money to be able to pay me for whatever goods and services that I am selling. It works out the best for you and it works out the best for me. Another way to put it is market forces are not just what ensures peanut butter is cheap when it sits on your store shelves. It's what ensures peanut butter sits on your store shelves in the first place. Forget price for a moment. Let's talk availability.
And real quick, while you're talking about the rising tide lifts all ships concept, just point something out about our friends on the left. Um, they have this bizarre notion that people get rich by exploiting the poor. Okay, let me just clear something up for you real quick. What it means to be rich is to have money. They believe that you get money and become rich by exploiting the poor. Here's something you need to understand. Poor people don't have any money. I've had broke clients, broke customers. Guess what they don't do? Pay the damn bills. I've lost money because I mistakenly did business with people that didn't have the money to pay me for my work. It happens. And if it's not a significant amount of money, a couple hundred or $750, I may not chase them down over it. But broke people, they don't have money. You cannot exploit a person you cannot exploit a person without money for money. Broadly speaking, I mean, yes, you can bully them into student debt or unreasonable mortgages, but that's a totally different creature, and you don't actually make your money there by squeezing the blood from the turnip. You make your money there by squeezing the turnip until the government writes you a check. Which, by the way, is money that the government took from rich people with a gun through strict, pure exploitation.
Well, and the problem is that's where this is headed. Good old Mittens Romney is floating the idea of just paying everybody $1,000 a month until all this is over. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought Andrew Yang already dropped out of the presidential race.
Yeah, are we really there? Okay, so how did we get to the disaster that is our current healthcare system? We got to the disaster that is our current healthcare system because a horde of coward Republicans refused to do what was necessary to unfuck the first stages of the cancer known as universal healthcare system, right? And we got to that point by just constant, slow, Chinese water torture style pressure from the communists that call themselves Democrats, shoving it down our throats like an unlubricated 12-inch dildo made of leather and thorns and hate. Is that, I mean, so are we going to UBI the same way? Are we just going to choke it down?
Well, not only that, but there's that thing Rahm Emanuel said some time ago: "You never let a crisis go to waste." And here's the problem with that free money. There's also been suggestion, like in Italy, apparently mortgages are just temporarily suspended. Like, I'm not real sure how that works, but
like I told you yesterday, we were talking about that. I'm a bank owner, and you tell me, okay, you can no longer collect mortgages. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go collect houses. It'll be a pain in the ass, but I gotta eat.
yeah, it's okay for the government to just come in and tell you you must violate the terms of a contract you worked out voluntarily with another free individual. Well, what freedom do we really have? And here's the more insidious part of it. This is going to cause some kind of an economic shock. And if we step in with all of these government programs, well, we've done this before. FDR did it. History books lie to you in elementary school. They tell you that FDR saved us from the Great Depression. That's not what happened at all. He extended it. He made it worse with all of his help. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to help people. What, you're going to give me $1,000 a month? Now, I know better, and that's still tempting for me. What about all the people that don't know better? What about the people that get addicted to it? And I said, well, what am I going to do without my $1,000 a month? I don't know, go back to work. Some of us have got to work in order for that $1,000 to even be available. And speaking of work, I won't go into the name of the company that I work for, but I work for a pest control company. I currently service apartment complexes, which means I interact with dozens to hundreds of people a day. How dangerous is it for me to go to work if this situation really is as bad as everybody says it is? And I'm not saying I just get to take the next month off with pay. That's not my point. But we're totally going to close all the schools, even though this disease seems to not kill children. But we're also totally going to make retail workers continue to go to work because we got to go buy the milk and the eggs and all that. And, we're totally going to make guys that run routes, drive trucks, stuff like that. We still have to go to work.
Instacart still delivers my groceries.
Yeah. So how is one so much more dangerous than the other? And I understand there's actually some science involved with the fact that children can be asymptomatic and spread the disease. I get all that. But I'm just saying, when you put it all together and you add it up to the fact that if you watch Tim Pool, if you watch Stefan Molyneux, if you watch Sticks, X, and Hammer, or any of other number of YouTube creators, we've been following this coronavirus thing for a while. We predicted on this show that it would eventually hit 20,000 confirmed cases because we were trusting the Chinese to do the right thing, which meant they weren't going to do the right thing.
Yeah, and we were having that conversation in early to mid-January. Now, in fairness, let me just point something out. Rod said we should have stopped the airplanes from every direction sooner. I agree, but let me say this. So the first cases of the coronavirus were reported in Wuhan in December, early December. At that point, the first cases were recognized in December. So it wasn't really until January that there was even the suspicion. It was only just basically getting on everybody's radar that there was a bad bug going on in China. Trump shut down travel from China to the U.S. on February 3rd. And at the time, he was railed against by the mainstream media, who were all calling it the Chinese coronavirus or the Wuhan coronavirus, and all this. But Trump shut down travel from China to the U.S., and they railed against him. Oh, he's a racist. He's such a xenophobe. It's blah, blah, blah. Nope, wrong. And these people were not wrong, as in they were not incorrect in their assessment. They're liars.
Damn liars.
It would be one thing if they honestly believed a thing to be true, but they don't. They do not believe that Trump is a racist. They do not believe that reasonable security precautions are racist. I know this to be true because now their criticisms of him are that he did not shut it down soon enough. Well, you can't have it both ways, sweetheart. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is you're a damn liar.
It's the Trump derangement syndrome. I keep thinking about the George Romero zombie movies. Stick with me here, okay? The original three movies were Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead. Night of the Living Dead was day one of the zombie apocalypse. Dawn of the Dead takes place in some nebulous time frame in the weeks after the zombie apocalypse has started to run out of control. And Day of the Dead takes place somewhere between a year or two after, and basically civilization has utterly collapsed. We follow this group of survivors who could assume to be literally the very last set of survivors in the entire world. And they've got some scientists that are working on how to solve the problem. And one scientist is actually attempting to domesticate zombies because, they outnumber humanity 10,000 to 1 at this point. And there's a military commander on the base who's horrified and cannot believe that the scientist would conceive of that. And the scientist laughs at him and says, "Oh, well, what are you going to do? You're going to shoot them all in the head?" The time to do that would have been at the beginning. It would have worked. And I really feel like that's where we're at. Oh, okay, what are we going to do? We're just going to shut everything down? That might have worked 6 weeks ago. It might have. I don't know that it necessarily would have, but it might have. But at this point, all we're going to do is slow it down. I actually fear that I've got all the time in the world. What? Oh, Chris just gave me a time check. Thanks, buddy, because I still have to go to work.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
But yeah, the long and the short of it is what we're doing now, it might have worked in the beginning. But now, and again, I don't have a DR period in front of my name, but we can actually be slowing down the point to where we achieve herd immunity. We're literally going to increase the number of viral generations. It's just going to happen over such a slower timeline because there are still more and more cases coming in. And so what? I go back to my original question. What, we just crashed the world's economy because of a virus? Really? I don't know, man. I don't know.
So, I think part of what's happening there is we have a mainstream media that is so very much in the pocket as sometimes it's hard to tell if the DNC works for the MSM or if the MSM works for the DNC, and
The first one.
it just makes it feel more and more like there's something larger there to which they both belong. As if the MSM is the propaganda wing of some larger anti-American globalist agenda that is basically managed by the DNC, which also manages their violent assault arms like Antifa and the like.
Careful with those clockwork elves there, buddy.
Man, I tell you what, man, you weren't wrong. As soon as as soon as Epstein snuffed it, it was hard not to see gay frogs and clockwork elves under every toadstool. But anyway, we saw it. Bill Maher and the like, several of these MSM guys, actively saying that they hoped and prayed for a recession, for an economic tragedy. Because it's the only way to beat Trump. And now they are going out of their way to flame the panic and make this situation worse. for precisely that reason. I'm not saying the coronavirus isn't bad. It absolutely, by all indications, it is bad. But the panic, just like with your analogy about the kitchen fire, the panic, the MSM is standing in the kitchen with Molotov cocktails, just throwing them out the window into the bedroom and the living room. They're actively working to make the problem worse because there is great utility in that. They're bent on capitalizing on a crisis, and the worse they can make that crisis, the higher the capital generation and monetization of that crisis becomes.
I'll tell you one of the things that I am long-term worried about is not only does this backdoor us into UBI, not only does this normalize concepts where the governor is allowed to just come in and say, like the mayor of LA has basically told everybody that owns a restaurant or a bar or whatever, nah, go home, you're closed. But what? The mayor has that authority? Well, I guess if you live in LA, it's extremely blue and has tight gun control laws. I guess the mayor can do that because how are you going to tell him no? But even with all that, what if this leads to President Stacey Abrams in 2021? And what I mean by that is Joe Biden has promised to pick a woman. Stacey Abrams would give him a lot of political capital. Joe Biden is not going to make 4 years as president. He's not. So whoever his vice president is, you can just go ahead and assume they're the de facto Democrat nominee. And the economy falls apart. Trump gets the blame because Trump has owned this economy since day one. Obama's also tried to own it, funny enough, but whatever. But now, if I am a Democrat strategist and the economy tanks, buddy, I'm going to put ads together that are nothing but Donald Trump talking about the economy because it would be an effective marketing ploy.
While I agree with you on that, I will push back the no, Rod, they don't want Hillary. I don't think Hillary is the play. For a whole bunch of reasons. We need to wrap up, so I'm gonna just it's not Hillary. Damn it, Rod, you threw off my train of thought. Where was I?
Pushing back on President Stacey Abrams.
No, I wasn't even going to push back on Stacey Abrams. I don't disagree.
UBI, socialized medicine, all this is the back door. Ladies,
I don't remember where I was going, but basically,
Chris.
Yeah, that's well played, sir. Well played. Anyway, okay. So here's the thing about Biden. The Democrats want Biden. They want Biden because Biden is a tailor-made case for 25th Amendment removal. If Biden were to beat Trump, I don't think that's extremely possible. Okay, I remember what I was getting to, and I'll get right back to that. I don't think it's extremely likely that Biden beats Trump, but the reason that they want Biden is because he's a tailor-made case for removal under the 25th Amendment, where the vice president and the House and Senate can basically say, okay, you're incompetent or you're incapacitated, remove the president, and the vice president steps up, or an appointee from the House and Senate. Okay. So, the other thing. Shit!
It's twice now, buddy.
Yeah, it is. I got it back and I lost it again.
Well, we've gone way, way over our time. And I do have to go to work, so unless you can grab it, I think we need to call it. Otherwise, man, I've got rabbit holes I'm trying not to go down.
Damn it. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, you said that as a Democrat strategist, you put together the ads showing Trump talking about the economy. Yes. However, I don't think that ends up being especially effective because of the the level at which Democrat voters have become disenchanted with the party over all the shenanigans with Bernie, all the shenanigans with what's his face, Bloomberg, all the shenanigans with Tulsi. There are a lot of Bernie or bust voters that a lot of whom voted for Trump last time precisely because they're Bernie or bust, and they will vote for Trump again. And I would go so far as to say Bernie is losing some of those original Bernie or bust voters because some of the things that the Bernie or bust voters were supporting Bernie on, and the reasons that they went for Trump is because Bernie was strong on borders, and Bernie used to at least say that he understood that you cannot have a giant welfare state like socialism and universal health care with open borders. And so Bernie's losing support now that he's open borders because there are some communists that are not insane, right? People talk about modern Nazis. Guys, modern Nazis are left-wing. They're National Socialists that happen to also be ethno-supremacists. They're ethno-nationalists. They believe in everything that Bernie says, but it's only for white people. That's what the modern National Socialist Party is. And we do have that in America. It does exist. But they're not alt-right. They're basically far left. But the pushback when the Democrat strategist drops the ads about the economy, coronavirus, and look at how we dealt with it. I also think that I have reasonable certainty that we are going to see a V-shaped recovery before the election, and I dare say before the end of the summer. And Trump is going to be able to point to that and say, look, yes, the economy took a shit when everybody got the Wu flu, but we shut down travel, we voluntarily engaged in social distancing, we ramped up response, we did the right things, we took care of the problem. Some people died, but that's gonna happen. There's no avoiding that. And we got it all put back together, and we're going the right direction. Off to sky's the limit with that V-shaped recovery, and he wins in November. I really think it is that simple.
I hope you're right, but that's really all I got, man. Well, no, I have lots more, but I'm going
to say one more thing, and then we're gonna call it for the day. Let's assume for just a moment, for the sake of argument, that the whole Wu flu thing was an orchestrated attack to cause pain to Donald Trump and the election process because the Chinese want to get rid of Trump as president because he's whooping their asses on trade. Here's my pushback on that. Because of all the predictions I just made, there's going to be a V-shaped recovery, and Trump's going to be able to point to that, and he's going to win in November. I think the timing is wrong to support many of the conspiracy theories that are going around with it being an intentional released attack. So that's all I've got this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go to work. Except for me, I've been up since way too early, so I think I'm about to take a nap before the kids wake up. I got about half an hour. And y'all be safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Whoosh.
Sure enough, my man.
Yeah, I didn't see anything Rod had to say. I never got the screen share.
Oh, shit, I'm sorry, man.
That's all right. Later.